Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me tonight are JenTMaxi,
Hello.
Mr. Adam,
Good evening.
SoraLuna,
Hello.
and as it is a Friday and the new schedule is live, of course, I'm the keeper for the night, Sanguine. How are all of you doing tonight?
Dude, it's Friday the 13th.
Oh,
It
yes, it
is.
is. Woo!
Ding, 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 ding.
It's I have been smoked out. We have a particularly bad day here due to forest fires. So the very
It's never
air
the good
itself tastes.
stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's a different meaning to smoked out that two of our panelists might
Well,
think
well,
of.
hold on.
Freezing.
I'll give you the opposite end of that smoked out after her bit. So please continue.
Listen, there used to be this running gag that BC had hidden pot farms hidden in those trees, you know? So when you think of like fire burnt outs and you're just like, it's never the good stuff. But we don't do that anymore because it's legal and you know, I'm
Or they're crafty and they toss hair on
Depends
the
on-
piles. Ooh.
Also, it depends on how much the tax is on it, because if the tax is high enough, there's probably still those farms out there.
Yeah, they've gotten better over the last couple of years. Like when it started off though.
Mm-hmm. And Adam, you were going to say that you were going to give the counterpoint?
To what?
The other side of getting smoked out?
The funner part, I guess. The more fun. God, English has abandoned me.
Oh, right. I mean, I figured this was more up your wheelhouse, Sanguine, but I figured out a good wood chip to use for smoking out some meats, and
Which sort you using?
um um,
Is it oak, hickory,
I'm,
alder,
I'm drawing a
cherry?
blank, man. I'm sorry. I just
mesquite?
took two big bong rips, so I'm kind of smoked out, man.
Because, yeah, I smoked some butter for myself earlier today.
What?
Yeah, I had
You
smoked
smoked
butter.
Oh yeah. Oh, see, here's my thinking.
Not that type of smoking. I do not advise.
Yeah, I was like, what did you do? Just like crack a little cube of butter.
Yeah. I have this image of like a bellow and like some poor kid or person who's very violated.
Yeah, that's weird. Hey, in all fairness, it's only because earlier this week, and I'll try and keep this short. Earlier this week, one of the coworkers came up to me and he's like, "Yeah, this guy, he called me a mushroom," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, he called me a mushroom." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Cause I'm a fun guy," he said, and I'm like, "Oh, haha, fun guy, mushroom." I didn't get it until the next day, um, but it was a running joke for the rest of the week, and then today we had a customer come in, and so they were playing like 90s hits, or late 90s early 2000 hits, on the loudspeaker, on the what the loudspeakers, I guess, and and somebody, we were talking in the text message system that we have, and somebody put in there, I was like, what are they eating mushrooms? And like, you can't smoke the mushrooms. I'm like, dude, who tried smoking mushrooms, man? Who's trying to smoke this shit? You should know better. Butter, but you smoking butter. I'm sorry, I ran off on a tangent. I'm sorry, Jen. Go ahead.
No
You can
worries
have
at
my
all.
times.
But yeah, I smoked up some butter earlier on, so I got some good Kerrygold butter.
That's
And
nice. Yeah.
Then I smoked it with oak or bourbon soaked oak chips and some hickory to give a real nice, deep, smoky flavor with some beautiful accents to it. And I'm going to be using that for all kinds of things, like tossing it in when I'm cooking some rice and just on some toast for breakfast. Really damn good.
That sounds really, really tasty.
Mm-hmm. It is amazing. If you have an opportunity to give it a go, I recommend it. The way that I do mine is just I have a smoking gun that I use. So I stick the wood chips in the top of the smoking gun, put my cloche over, let it smoke for about, I probably reloaded a couple times, so 30 to 45 minutes to get real nice deep smokiness in it. Absolutely delicious.
That sounds really. It'd be interesting. I haven't seen. I'm sure if you go to like the very, very specialty stores somewhere around here, you could probably find a smoking gun. I haven't even heard that exists. So that's cool.
Oh my god. You guys are laying down so many. Oh yeah, there's a store for a smoking gun, is there? Oh yeah. So, I can easily smoke my meats and cheeses with my smoking gun.
It's a thing.
I know it is, but it's just funny. Come on, we gotta at least have a little humor. But I think
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some chef out there who has one that's shaped like Sammy Sam. There's always some nerd.
Well,
hey, come on. They should have a little fun in the kitchen.
There's a handheld torch that you use in the kitchen. That there's the sous vide gun. Have any of you heard of that?
Yep.
No.
Let me pull up an image of the sous vide.
I do enjoy that there are many guns that you can use in the kitchen.
Yeah, this one is specifically designed to look as much like a gun with a silencer on it as they could manage.
That's hilarious.
So let me open up this image in a new tab, and I will share the image.
And you know what's odd is there's a lot of tattoo artists that would really dislike you if you called the tattoo machine a tattoo gun.
That is the sous vide gun.
That looks ridiculous. I love it.
Yeah, it has a canister of propane or butane. I can't remember which fuel source it uses, but it
propane
uses just this canister of fuel.
Yeah,
Gets slotted into the ass end of the gun. You spark off the front. You can sear up things ridiculously, and there's two versions. There's one that has to be used outside, and then there's another version that is safe enough to use indoors.
Isn't that what they use to like char some little bits, like maybe like in a dessert they might flame up some area?
You can use it for creme brulee, which is the dessert that you're most likely thinking of.
Yeah, probably.
Or the ridiculously overworked baked Alaska. Yeah, I watched somebody make one of those.
What's a
Baked Alaska is a lot of work for very little.
ice cream in a meringue, so you can have ice cream that's been put in the oven.
For real?
Yep.
Yeah, it's still cold. I've always wanted to try one for the novelty of it.
Just to say you tried it.
Yeah, it never looked like a particularly interesting, or taste, not necessarily a tasty dessert, but just very cool.
Yeah,
and there's one version of it that takes it even a step further than that, Sora. Because it starts with ice cream. Then its pound cake is kind of molded around the ball of ice cream.
Yeah.
Molded around it?
Then you freeze that ridiculously hard. And you get a thing of oil ready. And you deep fry the fucker.
Yep.
Good God.
No.
So you have deep fried pound cake
I
wrapped
refuse.
around ice cream. And then you can still do the meringue around that and torch the outside of the meringue. So you get this kind of toasted marshmallow meringue on the outside with that fried cake crispness and sweetness on the inside all around that bowl of ice cream.
Well, I guess when they say let them eat cake, eh? But I had two congruent thoughts. One was, Jesus, pound cake. At least it wasn't a fucking fondant. Good
Ugh.
God. Yeah,
Yeah.
they use that shit for everything. But the other thing is, what shape were you guys, or were you folks thinking about? Like, because at first I was thinking just like a jawbreaker, like a giant circle. But then I was like, nah, you probably couldn't put that in a deep fryer. So maybe
no,
like a
that's
Hershey's
exactly what
Kiss?
it is.
Oh, just like a circle, like a
Yeah,
globe,
it is a sphere
a
of
sphere. Yeah,
ice cream
round
that
object.
is wrapped in pound cake that is then
Ugh.
deep fried before being put on a plate, and then you surround it with some meringue, torch the meringue, and that is the full, ridiculously done over baked Alaska that you can do.
Good God. Okay, hold on. Indulge, haha, in my little fever dream here, but at some point I want my birthday party to include one of these globed cakes, but I want it decorated like the globe, and then I want a costume party with each of us dressed like world leaders from the 1910s, and then one of us has a fucking knife, and we're just sitting there like, which is next? South Africa 6, nice. Cut, and there you go.
I was about to say, if it's from the 1910s, is
Wait.
it the Kaiser that has to have the knife then?
Well, no, I think I'm mixing two different points because colonization started before that. But
Yes.
I was
before
thinking
that.
of a propaganda cartoon of I swear it was World War One,
Quite
but
possibly.
I could be wrong. But it was of like a bunch of leaders, and they were obviously depicted of which their nationality, as propaganda posters do, carving up a world map. And yeah, I think that'd be funny. Not that I would do it, but that'd be funny.
There's an awfully complicated cake for that one, but I get what you're going for.
Well, when I'm a rich man, so I didn't do it.
Jinx.
You can't say, if I was a rich man, without that happening.
Hey, I didn't say if, I said when.
That's okay. It was close enough.
Yeah, it's close
It
enough.
counts.
No, because theirs goes and mine goes okay, so there's a difference. We have precedence.
Okay.
See, what you need to do is just buy out the rights and you're golden.
Yes, eventually. These are my plans. Soon I shall have all the global cakes under my control. Wait.
I do love the number of times that arguments in the music industry do end with, and that's when I bought their entire catalog.
Yeah, and now
That's
they can
Paul
go
McCartney.
fuck themselves.
Yep.
Isn't that just the ultimate middle finger?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's wrong, Mr. Superstar? Couldn't afford to buy the rights to your own song? Well, too bad. Oh, forgot about that little legal loophole? Well,
Although I wonder if a lot of them even had the idea to even do that, Maybe they just even think about it until until it was presented like, hey, they're buying your entire catalog. They're like, what?
Wait, that was an option?
Yeah, you could do that? Wait,
Because,
could I
yeah.
have done that?
That ended up being one of the best business moves that Vanilla Ice could have possibly had. Because no one really goes back to play his songs other than, yeah, they'll play Ice Baby every so often.
Hey,
Yeah,
and
usually
I
as
play
like part of schlocky 90s dance party.
I
Yeah,
play Ninja Power all the time as well, sir.
I
But-
actually don't know any other song by him, honestly. I've never heard anything else.
Your turtle power.
clearly
Wow.
you did not see the action movie that he starred in, where the music was all his music as well.
What, Cool as Ice?
Yep.
Get
I,
out of here.
I think I've seen someone do one of those bad movie review things on YouTube about it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's about the extent I think I've ever been around that film.
It is gloriously awful. It is, I think, 90 minutes. It might be a little bit longer than that. Where you're effectively watching Vanilla Ice metaphorically blow himself on screen.
Ew.
Exactly. Because it makes him out to be the coolest of cool guys. And he knows how to fight. He knows how to ride motorcycles and dirt bikes. And he's doing all these cool action stunts. But in the back of your mind, you're just going, this is fucking Vanilla Ice. I can't take this shit seriously. There's no way Vanilla Ice would win a fist fight.
Does he have that stupid haircut
Yes.
hairstyle thing?
Throughout the entire movie, including immediately after taking off a motorcycle helmet.
Yes. That's precious. Gotta love it.
Yeah, it is perfectly coiffed despite coming out of a motorcycle helmet.
And listen, this is before CG, okay? So
That
This
was probably clued in that way then.
yeah, there is no movie magic, okay?
The
Industrial
only
light
person, the only person who has had a stronger hold on their hair is that one bitch who used Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, and she makes hair products now, or at least she sells them. So there's that.
Not that she
No,
makes them.
I don't know if I would trust buying hair products from her.
To be fair, though,
I'd be
she
scared.
she did try to own up to it, though. Like, my understanding is she did donate a lot of that money. You know, like she did use some of it, which fair enough. She probably did need to fix her hair and all that. I don't doubt that there was problems from it, but
I would imagine.
I give some people
the,
kudo points for, you know, at least owning up to shit. You know.
What are the ingredients on this product? Why does it say cyanoacrylate? That isn't a hair product.
You know, she probably did it to be edgy, and that was it. She was just trying to be edgy, and it was just like, oh, yeah.
According to her version of the story, she did it just because she's retarded.
Yeah,
Mistakes happen.
yeah.
We all make mistakes. To err is
That
human.
or
All that.
Yeah,
Some of us err more than others.
It's not that I'm patting her on the back for doing it. I'm patting her on the back for being mature about it, just because I feel like the world is lacking maturity right now. So I'm just like, thank you for at least being that much.
True, but when you turn your hair into a crash test helmet, that's a special kind of special.
It's one
And
of those,
cryptic.
like, you were touched by heaven's angels.
You know what? It could have been worse. She could have gone to the other end.
well, hold on. What if? And this is an incredibly hypothetical thing, you know. Again, look, yeah, hypothetical. But what if she tried to get a business loan and was denied? And she was like, shit, I have this idea for a great product, but I cannot get a loan. What's the next best thing? I know.
Time to Gorilla Glue my head.
Gorilla glue my hair.
like I
Make
said,
it go viral, and then all of a sudden, I mean, hey, there's been enough crazy shit going on these past 2 years. I'll just give it. So, maybe, and again, but then again, like I said, I'm, I might be a little.
I mean, I knew a guy who used
Fuck.
super bleach on his pubes. So I mean,
Well,
Pardon?
apparently, I heard in the news, oh, you fucking Canucks, there was a lady who had to get like screws done in on her jaws because she opened her mouth too wide to eat a sandwich, like a chicken sandwich.
boy,
Wait, she broke her jaw trying to eat a chicken sandwich?
Yeah, I was listening to
At least
like
that's
a
what she
news
told the
podcast.
hospital.
Well, no, because it was there was
That's
like a
still
new
a hell of
chicken
a lot
sandwich.
of commitment.
It's just weird. I don't know. I think I was being played a fool, but even at that, I was like, shit, man. You think you'd feel your jaw breaking before you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a bite down, but I don't know. Who knows?
yeah, or notice that you would think by that point you're having struggles with breathing too. But I don't know.
Well, hold on. See, I'm having a hard time believing this because of Gorilla Glue Lady. Because there was a lady who was willing to put Gorilla Glue in her hair. If I hear some tabloid shit of some lady who was really hungry and wanted to eat this chicken sandwich, she broke her jaw. Like, I don't know, man. This is the times we're at.
Yeah, you kind of go, well, someone was dumb enough to gorilla glue their head. They might actually be dumb enough for this. Shit, is this real?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it was toasted, I mean, maybe the meat had. I don't know. It sounds weird. Like if there was something in the chicken, maybe like the chicken had a bone or something, or I don't know, because that stuff's usually processed.
See, I'm picturing it happening in a different manner than you're picturing it. Because I'm picturing this woman trying to unhinge her jaw like a snake.
Well, I mean, at first I had this image because on Twitter earlier there was this picture of this lady with a fist in her face, and I know I've seen that meme before.
Mhm.
And I was picturing that, but with a sub. But
Yeah, like I said, the way that I was picturing it was definitely the full-blown unhinging your jaw like a goddamn snake, and you just went a bit too far and
Yeah. But you
Oh,
think you'd
God,
feel
just that
like
image. Ugh.
Yeah.
Shivers. Poor lady.
yeah,
But
I
yes.
can't-
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry that happened to her. However, it happened.
if it happened.
If it happened, indeed.
Mhm. So, did any of you find anything interesting news-wise today, or anything that just pissed you off that you caught in passing, or anything exciting happen?
nothing that I can confirm other than I feel like I'm going crazy because you'll see an article 1 minute and then you blink and you go to try to retrieve it to see if you could share it with other people and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was stuff going on with the Afghanistan stuff.
Oh, I was just about to bring that up too. Yeah.
And so
pull
yeah,
something up.
I cannot find this article for the life of me. So like I do kind of feel like I'm imagining things, but one of the guys who's involved with the Afghanistan stuff might be one of our dudes. Like I read that he had a history with our military, and I'm like, I'm actually would not be surprised if that wasn't true. I just can't back it up because, like I said, I can't find that article. But
Wait, say that again?
So Canada's to accept 20,000 Afghan refugees
Okay.
because of the Taliban rule that's happening right now in Afghanistan, and they're increasing control over the country. So we're going to bring 20,000 more refugees here.
of course we are. Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised
because Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where have we seen this happen before?
Yeah, like I said before, the stuff that I mentioned, like even if I can't find that article, I would not at all be surprised if that's not true. Just because there's a lot up here that's not right. We just don't talk about it because we would be canceled.
So,
Mhm.
like, are you looking for the actual developing story of what they want to do, or
No, I'm saying that one of the guys who was part of the insurgency, like the shit that was going on, the boom, boom, boom over the last 3 days, one of the guys involved was part of our military. Like he had
oh,
ties to our military and not little
yeah, I can
ties.
see that. Unfortunately, because of all the shit and leniency you sometimes hear about in Canada, I mean, it could just be one of those stories that kind of like it was just it got retracted because it was not true, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So
And let's be
Canada's very own Jihadi John.
I mean, we give money to terrorists, and we think that's okay.
well, like yeah, and I mean like JenTMaxi can't go to India because he's got ties to terrorists because he donated money to that kind of shit. So like, there's
Yeah.
nobody in our government who
Oh,
doesn't.
but speaking of that, don't you
Oh.
see? He doesn't discuss politics and stuff. He's expecting his first baby. Yay!
Well,
Did
you know
you
what?
see that was all over Twitter the other day? Nothing about anything a thing. He's just like, here's his 12-year-old looking wife, and they're expecting their first kid, and oh, good for them. How about you aren't you anymore? I can't stand him. I just really can't.
Well, it's just there's so much going on there that it's so Twilight Zone here. Let's be real. We're all just kind of just keeping our noses clean because we're not sure if we should duck and cover. Especially you guys, because you're on fire.
Eventually, yeah, well, we're on fire, but they eventually they settle on the coasts, right?
Mhm.
So they come, they stay in Toronto area or they head west eventually. No matter where they initially get put in the country, because they're like, oh, we want the nice areas to settle, right? So you come here, and then they spend the whole. And this is a bit of like an aside, but we literally will have them come in and we tell them you're no special than any other citizen. You have to follow the rules of the legal medical system, etc. Then you have them abuse the staff in hospitals or in doctors' offices by yelling at them because I thought I have special status. This is Canada. You're supposed to give me medical attention now. Yeah. I don't have a lot of sympathy, unfortunately, and this is due to the way they're brought in, and I don't know.
We really don't see as much of that.
Entered.
Like we really don't. Like my experience
Frustrating.
with the Muslim community has really been more from the oil community, and it's a completely different scene when you're talking to the oil community because these are educated.
People who work.
Yeah, well-educated people. They're respectable people. They're actually good members of our community. But the thing is they don't like being lumped in, and I don't lump them in. I'm like, stop letting our politicians tell you that that's what I do, because I'm well aware of the fact that my dad did business with you guys, and that you don't want to deal with that shit either. You just want to do your work. My problem is the fact that these guys are starting to talk politics, and you guys should be concerned too, because there's a reason you came here. There's a reason they came here.
To reference something that Assassin brought up, the 100,000 Somali refugees that were brought into the States.
Yeah.
Predominantly in Missouri, Michigan, and he forgot one of them, which is Minnesota. And it caused an explosion of crimes in those areas because these were not people that were screened. These were not people that any effort was put into bringing them into society and getting them to assimilate. It was on the tip of my tongue for some reason. And it has resulted in something that was thought goddamn near impossible. Everyone's heard the phrase Minnesota nice, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Minnesota nice is dying.
Yeah.
And it is dying a horrendous death. Because it is just getting chipped away at.
Is it basically? I've not heard that. Is it just because they're the people from Minnesota are such kind people? Is that what that refers to?
Yeah, so Minnesota Nice is, for the longest time, Minnesota was seen as this ridiculously nice area where you would go there and it would be like returning to your hometown even though you've never been there.
Yeah.
Type shit.
Yeah.
Where it's just, oh, hi neighbor, how you doing? Here you go, have a cake, have a...
Everybody's a Ned Flanders.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so sad. That's so sad because you would think that they would enjoy that. Like,
Whereas we had, what was it, a week or two ago in Minnesota, a person was beheaded midday.
Yeah, in the
good.
middle of the street.
Was it an honor killing?
In the middle of the street, it was an illegal immigrant was the one responsible.
He was caught several times and charged several times with previous crimes, but
and released several times. Yep. Yeah, they caught him. He was on all the lists as, yep, this is a violent criminal, and this person is absolutely here illegally, but rather than going, now this person here illegally, that's a violent criminal, get fucking rid of them. Kick them back to where they came from. Don't keep them. Didn't cross people's minds, so he just kept on getting dumped back off. And yeah, he decapitated a woman in the middle of the street during midday.
Jesus.
I believe she was
these are
also
these
an
are the same
immigrant.
people who want to convince me that they care about women. You know.
Well,
Same.
I believe she was I think they were both immigrants from Cuba, but she was a legal immigrant, I believe, if I remember correctly, and he was not. And I think that's how he managed to get here, is through her. But because if I recall the story correctly, she changed her name to America after she gained her citizenship. But I mean, not saying that anything with that. It's just it's not always as clear cut as people always like to make it out to be, and it's
Well, it's not. But the thing is the authorities know about this kind of stuff.
Then that's where you start getting into where I would be. Okay, so is this intentional at this point? Are they letting this dude out after his second offense? Okay, we give him the first, fine, whatever you want to put it out to be. But after the second one, you don't lock him up for an extremely long time. Like, at what point do we? And I think they tried sending him back to Cuba, but Cuba didn't want him.
Yeah,
and
so
he's your problem now.
Yeah, so it's like, at what point do we not look at it and like, so why did you let him out? What reason was that? And it goes into, well, I think the reason, personally, I think, is to cause a lot of shit like this, is and it's to just further divide people in terms of what's going on, because not every Cuban is like this dude who's willing to behead somebody.
No,
in fact, most Cubans, I'm perfectly fine letting in.
Yeah.
And to be honest, most people weren't even picturing a Cuban. Let's be fair.
And I just pulled up the write-up of, or one of the write-ups of this story, and he was a Cuban illegal immigrant. He was wanted by ICE. He was known to the authorities. It was his girlfriend that he beheaded. And he dumped her body out of the car just into the street. Then drove off. He was charged with second-degree intentional murder. And again, in the U.S. illegally. ICE had tried in 2012 to remove him from the U.S., but Cuba would not approve the travel documents, which, yeah, no shit, they don't want him back, but fucking bundle him up into a plane and drop him off. I don't give a shit. And he was released on an order of supervision. Like I said, lengthy criminal record, including domestic abuse convictions in Minnesota and Louisiana. And he had pending charges in Minnesota from last year of arson and damage to properties. Gee, I wonder when that probably happened. He had the domestic abuse charges against his girlfriend, who he decapitated. And yeah, just really fucked up, violent dude that was known to be really fucked up and violent. And there was, what was it, 2 years ago? I want to say there was a 12-block radius. I'm trying to remember from the top of my head. I think it was a 12-block radius of Minneapolis that had, within a month, over 30-something gang assaults. And what I mean by gang assaults is not one gang versus another gang. No, I mean a gang of 13 to, I think the largest group was 21 people beating one person senseless and mugging him. In one of the videos that came out in this string of crimes, they ran his head over with a bike.
Of course they did.
Because it just became the group feeding into itself and trying to come up with more and more fucked up ways of taking advantage of the guy that they had already beaten to near senselessness. And like I said, it was about 30-something of these events in a month, maybe a little bit less, in that 12-block radius. And the suspects, the people that did it, because of course you always have to refer to them as suspects until such time as they get properly convicted, were as young as 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about these things, right?
No, and I can't express, like, you know, opinions like maybe bringing back harsher corporal punishment. Like, you know, I know not every Russian gets taken out back, but it would be so much cheaper and more to the point. You know, that one bullet to the head thing.
See,
If you're gonna be a, you know, sorry.
The thing is that Minnesota has a rather complex system when it comes to how offenders are handled, which ends up resulting in a ridiculously high recidivism rate once you're talking about the people that go to prison. Because in order to reach the point where you end up in prison, you've probably gone through at least 4 to 6 rounds of other methods of handling the behavior. You've had court-ordered psych treatments. You've had court-ordered group therapies. You've had court-ordered community service and court-ordered fines and court-ordered groups and all this shit going on. So by the time that you reach prison, you've already had like 7 chances. And each time you keep on fucking up. So people then look at the recidivism rate when people get out of prison and, oh, look at how many people end up going back to prison. See, our prisons aren't doing enough. And these people don't know what the fuck the prisons are like. Because I worked in a state correctional facility. At our prison, we were an industry and education prison. That meant that people could take courses at the education section of the prison, and those ranged from learning how to read and write, because yes, we had people that did not know how to read and write, mainly because they just showed no sort of effort in trying to do so and were never kind of chastised for that at a younger age. They dropped out of education really goddamn early and just went into crime. To people that were getting post graduate degrees in the prison. You could learn everything from reading and writing to IT and beyond at this prison. You could learn welding, you could learn woodwork, you could learn IT, you could learn
That's
how
actually
to...
really cool.
Yeah, you could learn pretty much all the major sciences. You could learn a shit ton of different things. You could learn economics at the prison. Then, after you took certain courses, we had a bunch of different jobs that were offered at the prison. They got restricted while I was there just because of a offender doing something absolutely fucked up and murdering someone on shift. But when I first started, we had a metal shop that was everything from CNC machines to welding to you could learn how to fucking blacksmith.
Do they get paid? Like,
You get paid while you're working at the prison. There were jobs that got paid more. There were jobs that got paid less. The jobs that got paid the most were the jobs that the products that they were producing would be directly sold to free citizens, effectively. They would be sold just to the common population.
Mm-hmm.
And the offenders had a transformative aspect of what they did to that product. So, for instance, if one of the shops that we had was called the balloon shop, because you know those Mylar balloons?
Yeah.
Yeah. They would end up fixing up those Mylar balloons and sending them out.
Okay.
And what they did ranged from just kind of sealing the balloons, which wasn't considered transformative enough, to there were also decoration jobs for those balloons. The people that did the decoration jobs were paid much higher than the people that did the just packaging. Because the packaging is not considered transformative. That's just grouping 10 balloons and shoving them in a plastic bag and sealing the plastic bag.
Yeah.
But
so proportionally paid for type of work.
Yep. So the lowest
interesting.
paid jobs at the prison, again, considering the fact that the prison is free room and board, and also you had free education. In fact, not only did you have free education, but you got paid to attend education. The lowest pay that you would get for any of the jobs was like 50 cents an hour. Because you're in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. The highest paid jobs were getting paid a fair bit north of minimum wage, while still having pretty much everything else. They did have taxes taken out and a number of other things taken out of that amount. But yeah, they were able to learn skills. They were able to get job experience in those skills. And the prison would also, when it got close to them getting out of prison, would assist them in making sure that they had a resume, explaining how they could talk about why they were in prison so that they were able to put their best foot forward when they got out. They would assist the offenders in trying to put out applications so that the offender had the best chance of stepping out of the prison into a job. But when you've already had someone that has had to fuck up in the same way like 7 goddamn times, the chance of that person going, you know what, I'm going to turn my life around, decreases massively. So the state looks like it has a really bad recidivism problem, but that's only because they're looking at only the people that have already fucked up 7 times. Enough that they would get put in prison. And then, yeah, once you've committed yourself to crime that hard, the chance of you deciding, you know what, maybe I should step away from crime, decreases drastically. We still had success stories. We still had people that would get out of prison and stay completely above board, be good to go, and end up reaching the point where they got off paper. And to explain what getting off paper means, because that's a term that I don't think anyone else has had to deal with. When you get off paper, that means that you've been out of prison for a substantial amount of time. You have had no evidence of any sort of recidivism or reoffense. You reach the point where not only did you get out of controlled custody, effectively, so parole and shit like that,
Yeah.
but you've reached a point where you've been out for so long that it goes effectively off record almost. You are not being tracked by the police in any fashion, is going off paper. So you've been out for 6 years after going off parole, and most likely you're off paper. There's different limits for different crimes, but I think it's 6 years for a good number of the crimes after parole. And if someone was able to be out of prison, go off paper, they could even apply to work at the prison. And so long as they're off paper, so long as they have no evidence of reoffense, so long as they meet all the other requirements, yeah, they could get a job at the prison.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's something to do, sort of keeping the hands busy, but some people aren't in prison for the most horrific of crimes. So the fact that there is these availability to them is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully people take advantage of it and get better themselves. I say as someone who does not like breaking rules.
Yeah, there were, like I said, there were some people that you could tell they were actually buckling down and trying to get themselves on the right track. There were other people that you could tell they would leave and maybe a month later they would walk back in. Because, yeah, they worked, but they worked just so that they could get canteen money. And that was it. So they would work for a bit, they would get enough money that they could buy canteen for a few months, they would stop working entirely. They would end up getting bounced to SEG, they'd come out of SEG at a certain point, then they would continue living off of just the money that they had stored up before they stopped working. Then once they hit a point where they couldn't continue just riding on that money, they would then start trying to apply again for the prison jobs.
Yeah.
And those people, yeah, pretty much all of them, just revolving goddamn door. And then you also had the lifers, that most of the lifers were actually some of the best behaved offenders because, shit, they live there.
Mm-hmm.
What do they get out of doing bullshit? They just end up with a shittier time in prison. So
Yeah.
they tend to get into a good job at the prison and they just ride out that good job, enjoy the canteen that they can afford, and try to keep as many of the perks as you can while being on good behavior.
Yeah. They've kind of they're the ones who've kind of figured out the best way of just being left alone, being invisible.
Yeah. Our best behaved wing of the prison was effectively the wing of the youngest dude there. Was normally around like 40.
Mm.
because that was where a bunch of the lifers and the shop workers ended up. So the young guys were the ones that were normally causing shit, and then the old hats would end up in this section of the prison, keep their head down, just try to keep working. And the most that you would end up in that section most of the time was if a younger guy got put into that section, there would be a short period of the old guys going, yeah, that shit that you're doing, no. And then everything would quiet back down again. Because they didn't want to rock the boat. They didn't want to have anything fuck up their way. So they kind of self-policed.
Mm. Interesting.
Yep. But yeah, any other news stories that caught anyone's eyes or interesting things that happened during the day?
At
Or was that-
best, I saw Monkey. Monkey really likes Tom McDonald's new song. I guess the Brainwashed was pretty good. Because everybody's all focused on the media, and to be frank, I haven't been. That's kind of my problem. Is like I blink and I turn around, I'm like, oh, shit happened. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to pay attention because I'm supposed to be weird, the Chinese, you know.
Mhm. Yeah,
Joking.
Actually, I got I guess I got two things I'd like to say.
Ooh.
First off, when I right after work, after I got off the highway, coming back to the place where I'm gonna be placing camp for the evening, I went to a liquor store that I used to frequent a bit, so I know a lot of the guys there. It wasn't, because I buy booze, but it was like I used to go there after work and get a soda and some chips, or soda and candy bar or ice cream or something like that. Just some stuff to enjoy for the evening. A couple bucks here, maybe a shooter there. But yeah, so tonight I went in there to get a couple of shooters of Kraken for the evening, which is what I'm sipping on this evening. And this dude looks at me and he goes, "Hey, didn't I see you earlier today?" And I look at him like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, didn't I see you earlier today at the barber shop?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I just got out of work. I just came out of Buffalo Grove." And he goes, "Oh." He's like, "Oh, you look like this guy that I knew at this barbershop," and he just went into this whole spiel about how there's this barbershop on this one particular street that I guess this dude opened up, and then he passed away and he gave it to his son, and this dude was like good friends with his son, and so he goes there all the time, and apparently I looked like somebody he spoke to, because he's like, he said a name. It was like Brian or Braun or something like that. It was like a weird B name, and I'm sitting there like,
So what you're saying is that you have a doppelganger, and his name begins with a B, while your name begins with an A. So you're clearly the primary, and you need to find this man and usurp him.
well, I don't know. I mean, I was just sitting there. I was like, how easily he was just to look. "Hey, man, didn't I see you earlier today? I don't remember, but I think I saw you earlier today." And I'm like, "Wait,
Who the fuck are you?
wouldn't you know?" Like, how does that work? It was fucking weird. But apparently, there's a good barbershop that does nice city fades on this particular street, and it's family owned and has been passed down. So I don't know. I'm
Little do you know, this is all just a very weird marketing ploy for this barbershop.
Yeah, to get you to go to them.
hire
It's
some like goofy
just-
looking dudes to go into liquor stores.
Yeah, it's just they have like 20 people spread around your area that they just every so often go up to someone and, hey, I saw you at the barbershop, didn't I? What barbershop? You know the barbershop in this area over here? You were over there, right? No, I wasn't. Oh, it must be someone that looks like you. Yeah, it's a really great barbershop. You should give it a go.
No, and he did. He was like he mentioned the name a couple of times, and
That feels like a setup.
no, well, that's what I was like. Why would you? I'm like, hey, because what's weird is driving home. I was thinking like, yeah, this weekend I got to get a haircut because I need to get, it's that time, and I was thinking about, I was just thinking about how before the whole COVID shit, I just went to the closest haircuttery place, and it was like $20. It's like it was like the lady would just trim my hair, and then she'd be like, "Oh, it's like $12," and I'd just give her a 20 and be like, "Yeah, thank you," And then I go to this like after COVID though. This is the first time that I actually had my hair grown out, so I go to a haircuttery place, and I'm like, "Do you need to make reservations?" Well, the sign at the front says walk-ins welcome, but I go in there and she's like, "Do you have a reservation?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" So I end up making a reservation, and then when she's cutting my hair, like I have no idea any of these terminologies. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like just trim it up, just get it around the ears, because it's growing.
Yeah. The way that I always do it is I just go in and say, "Give me a 1950s business haircut."
Oh shit, dude! I don't even like. Before I would just shave it until it grew out to a point that I had to shave it again. But now that I have longer hair, she was telling me I have layers. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about layers? I don't know about layers. I'm like, I just make sure it's.
And I think the girls are just thinking, "You poor stupid men, you don't even know about layers."
Well, because
you don't need to, but layers just make your hair feel lighter.
And they add shape and movement.
Yeah. If you also have natural highlights, they kind of bring those out. Like if your hair tends to be lighter on the top, darker on the bottom, which most people have, regardless of where you're from, it tends to bring that kind of shit out. But I mean, in all honesty, if you're just going for comfort, then it's not that big of a deal.
Well, that was the main thing because usually when I'm at work now that it's a bit longer, I put it up in a tail.
Yeah.
But there's all the small hairs at the back, so I'm like, yo, yes. I used to go the lady I went to before where I just hand her a 20 and that was it. Like she understood, yeah, just trim back up, clip around the ears and we're done. Call it a day. This lady was like asking me all these questions, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're fucking talking about. And then at the end of the day, I ended up spending like $30. So, long story short,
Long story short, know what kind of haircut you want before you go in, or else you're gonna pay double.
Well,
and also apparently needs to try out this new barbershop. It's great. It's right down the street.
Dude, that's what I was gonna say. Like I'm like sitting here. I'm like, I don't want to go into this barbershop, and I'm gonna ask him like, all right, so how much am I gonna fucking spend, dude? Because I would like the shop that I went to that just it was $20 and that was done. They closed out because of COVID. Thank you, COVID. You fucking assholes. Now I have to go in there and ask questions and be like, hey, well, fuck, I didn't do my homework on what kind of haircuts I need, so now, shit, how much are you going to charge me to just trim behind my ears?
You got to kind of check for that. Like I was going to say you could cheat and just use like a magazine, just be like, I kind of want to go for that cut, because that's usually the cheaty way to go about it. but
Well,
that
I
can
didn't
cost
really
you
wanna-
money too. That can cost
See-
you money too.
The more that this is going on, the more that I'm going, yeah, this is just that dude is part of a genius marketing campaign.
Hmm. I mean, you could literally just take like somebody from like an ad, like a dude from an ad, and just be like, yeah, I want his haircut, and most of them will know what kind of haircut that is and be able to do it.
Oh,
But
I
it's not
bring
really-
I
it's
bring
not-
like 10 reference photos, and if I can,
Yeah.
like for example, if I find a really cute hairstyle on, say, I'm online shopping and I'm looking at it, and I've done this before, where I found like, ooh, this is a pretty dress, but then I like the model's hair, the way it was styled better. I will screenshot, because in online clothing they'll have it usually from all sorts of angles, right? The item. So that means that you see the model's face and head from all sorts of angles, like the side, like from the back and front, maybe the other side. So I will screenshot all of that, save it to my phone, and take it in when I get my haircut, which helps a hell of a lot for with the styling, right?
Mhm.
It's the best. I recommend. I have a folder on my phone where I constantly put in hairstyles or color that I like for potential change. So
It just
like I
it's
said,
Well,
my
hold on. But this is I'm not looking for a style. I just needed.
no, that's the point
know,
though, is that you don't
maintenance.
want to style. The point is that you don't
Yeah.
want to style, but this simplifies it for you.
mhm.
Because if you looked into like a male catalog, you're gonna have every standard haircut that's known to man, because that's what they're for. Like
so if
they're
I
like
go
I
in there and
said-
be like, give me a Keanu Reeves, they're just gonna do it.
yeah, yeah,
See,
yes,
like
For
I
real,
said-
that's the
Yes.
language.
yes.
like I said, my
That's
approach
crazy. That's
is
fucking crazy.
I go in the first time, give me a standard 1950s businessman. By the way, I have these colics, and then I leave. And then the next time, I hopefully don't have to say anything.
Just know that anything you get, unless you're getting color or like actual stuff, it's going to be cheaper than anything that Sora's talking about, because
Well,
her
no,
stuff,
no.
you know.
They even offered a shampoo and
Mhm.
shampoo, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, no, I don't want a shampoo. Just cut my hair so I can be on my ways.
Mhm.
But I will say I did learn a lot, because she also helped me like level the hairline to my beard line, and
Mhm.
get some other areas, and so I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But at the end of the day, I'm like, damn, like,
Yeah.
do I go to this barber shop and say like, hey,
I would go to the barber shop, to be honest, because men tend to talk better to men, and I don't mean that as slang or
yeah, but
rudeness.
do men trim long-haired men?
Regular straight men,
Barbershop's easy.
yes.
Barbershops are doing their beards and their regular fades and short-haired men, but I'm looking at it like, hey, as soon as I get out of work, I let my hair flow, bro. I love my I'm not gonna lie, I
See,
love my hair. So
My barber has like a foot and a half of hair.
yeah.
My barber, the one that I go to, he's big into motorcycles. He has like a foot and a half of hair that
Mhm.
he just loves the feel of it rippling behind him as he rides.
Well, maybe I will
Um,
check out this barber shop.
Yeah.
I mean, I was planning on going to get a haircut this weekend anyway, so
Yeah,
because
that's
again, also there's a sushi shop right next door. So just in case they were like, hey, you're gonna have to wait like a half hour, I'll be like, all right, well, I'm gonna go next door, and it's all you can eat for $12. I'm
Nice.
going in there for the lunch special if you go in there.
Mhm.
You'll have a good time. So I mean, that was what I had planned, but yeah, maybe I'll check out this barber. I don't know.
Like I said, brilliant marketing strategy.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sold on this just being that barbershop's marketing strategy. They just have a bunch of guys going
And
around.
hey, that's why I'm
"Didn't
not
I see
saying
you at the barbershop on 3rd and 4th, and it's
no, he did.
Run-
He was like, if you go right under this overpass, right under the Elgin O'Hare, and you hit this area, and it's right there. And I'm like, yeah, I do know that. I think I've probably passed it on the way to work a few times. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, he was like, yeah, I knew the brother, and then his brother, the owner passed away, and then the son took over or whatever, and I'm hanging out. So I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool,
And Assassin, you are asking the worst question when it comes to barbershops. If you go into a barbershop, you don't want the barber with the best haircut. You don't want the barber, because typically when you go into a barbershop, you'll have most of the barbers in that barbershop will have equally competent cut hairs, with the exception of one. You want the one with the worst haircut of all the barbers.
Well,
Because he's testing.
No, the reason is because the other barbers ask that barber to cut their hair, and he has to get one of the other barbers to cut his. So the barber with the worst haircut is typically the best barber.
I don't know, man. This is like
barber cutting everyone else's hair.
This is like a paradox question where it's like, would you trust the chef that's emancipated, or would you trust the chef that's like fucking, gloated? Like,
It's kind of hard when you see a very skinny chef, like really skinny. I mean, it's one thing to look healthy and maybe strong, but when they're very thin, I'm with you. It's just like, do you try your own food? Do you like food? Do you get enjoyment out of food? Because now I'll try, but I don't know. I squint at you suspiciously.
Yeah, if you're looking like you just got out of Auschwitz and then immediately caught AIDS, I'm not going to be really eager to try your food.
Yeah, but he has a chef's hat. It's really tall.
Yeah, that isn't enough. Like I said, I want, at the very least, just like a healthy looking chef. And normally, a chef with a little bit of a gut. Doesn't have to be enormous. Just a little bit of a gut that lets you go, okay, that man likes to eat his food.
Yeah.
And like I said, when it comes to barbers, if there's 5 barbers in a barber shop, go for the one that has the worst haircut.
It's also kind of not really something that they do in the hairstyling community either. Like, you don't generally do your own hair. That's not to say that people can't, because YouTube has proven that there are some people out there who are just talented as fuck. But most of the professionals that I watch every once in a while, just to get tips or like explanations for things that I can maybe do, they're all like, no, we go to professionals, just because between what's going on, there's so many steps that are involved that, like, doing it to yourself, there's so many things that could go wrong just because you can't see what's going on. And it's just a better experience to just relax the entire time, because you're not really, what you pay for when it comes to hair care and that kind of stuff is the work. And I mean, if you're just getting a regular dude cut, you don't need to spend big bucks on it. Like, a little shop for $8 should be able to get you what you need. But
if you're going to a barbershop, it's probably going to run somewhere in the range of 15 to 25, depending on your area.
Well, they're probably gonna know how to shape too, though. Like, they're gonna have the hair products and stuff that you guys use.
See, here's where we run into my personal conundrum between going back to the shop that I went to versus trying out this barbershop. Because the way I'm looking at it is, I can go to this shop that I've already been to. Hopefully the same lady is there, and I can be like, hey, you remember me? You remember what you did to my hair?
And it just becomes, you want the usual?
Yeah, give me the usual. Here's $30. Thank you so much. I'm going to enjoy some sushi next door and then be on my way. As opposed to going to this barbershop and being like, oh, hey, new person, and let me explain to you what I want, even though I don't know what I want, because I just don't want
See,
hair flying, light hair in my face, but
barber shops are a lot easier when it comes to that first meet than a stylist or a salon or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves.
well, yeah,
Because-
and this lady was like, I think she was well, she didn't have she had a nice thick accent. Let's just put that.
Yep. Yeah. When it comes to barbershops, they're used to just take it off my ears. And
She was also
shit
very
like
friendly and
oh yeah.
hands-on.
That's half the job. That is half the job when it comes to cutting hair. Because
Yes.
you need to be able
I don't want a dude being that hands-on though. Let's just.
How
Let's just-
hands-on are we talking here?
Well, she was she was
Did
very
you
close.
accidentally walk into a rub and tug place and get your hair cut there? How hands-on
just-
are we talking here?
No, just she wasn't shy about being very close in terms of body type.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of these days you'll be brave and you will take her up on that shampoo, and then you realize her boob is right into your head.
Well, I don't want that.
I didn't either.
I mean,
I was
it's
like,
nice.
lady, I don't get anything from this. Thanks.
Well, no, but that's why it's like that's why I was thinking. That's again, that was my plan for the Saturday. Was hell yes, I'll get a nice haircut and maybe a nice massage, and then go next door and get some all-you-can-eat sushi for a lunch special. And
With massage comes free egg roll, Adam.
yeah, and a hair wash.
And apparently a happy ending from the sounds of it.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I hope
right.
so.
Yay!
Yeah, she's teaching me the Slavic language. That's-
I'm glad I'm not the only
Ah.
person who watched that show.
But yeah, the barbershops are real easy when it comes to that. I've gone to a number of different barbershops just because I've moved and not been able to continue going to the one that I was going to before. And I've gone to white barbershops. I've gone to black barbershops. Both of them nice and easy. The black barbershops tend to be a little bit better at the gift of the gab aspect of it. They will just keep talking and they will roll with whatever the fuck the topic is.
Mhm.
Also, they bust each other's balls and it's hilarious.
Mm.
But
I could see that being fun, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is an experience going to a barber shop like that because, like I said, they'll be just busting each other's balls back and forth, but then they'll also be doing the standard haircut things of like, so how's life been treating you? How's the family? All that type of jazz, and just carry on a conversation. Really good barbers will remember the conversation that you've had with them before and pick up from where you guys left off effectively, or ask about something that you told them about the previous time. And that's always fantastic because then it's not just a, yeah, you're cutting my hair, thanks. It becomes more of a, yeah, you're cutting my hair, but I'm also being entertained while it's happening. And like I said, I always tend to go to barbershops over everything else. I have gone to salons and shit just because I wasn't able to find a barbershop that really fit well with me. And they're easy. I tend to have to explain less about the type of haircut that I want at a barbershop than I do at a more high-class hair area or hair place.
I also love it when people talk about barbershops, because I remember what barbershops were like back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine this, Sora. You're like, I'm gonna go to the barbershop, and then you're gonna get surgery, and then
Yeah,
they're
you
gonna
get
measure
trim
your
and surgery.
pee. Then they're gonna measure your pee for
Why
the
not?
color. For the color.
There's a reason why surgeons in the UK are not doctors. In the US, for those who don't know. Yeah, if you're a surgeon in the US, you're a doctor as well. You're just a doctor that specialized in surgery. In the UK, you have medical school, which trains physicians/doctors, and then you have surgical, which is its own thing. So your surgeons are misters, and the man who gives you the drugs is a doctor.
It's amazing how everything happened back in the day.
Yep.
Especially the medical. I'm actually really grateful for the fact that we do have our medical. I just, like I said, I have no problems with the vax. I still think it's a Ponzi scheme, though, to be honest with you. I think it's another Ponzi scheme, and 6 months from now, there's going to be another variant, and we absolutely will have to get this third thing going on because they're going to push it, because you guys are already getting it.
But just as my sake, we don't have to have a discussion on this again.
No, we don't. I'm just calling it. But I did offend Czech the other night because I called it the Black Plague. Just because, I'm sorry, I know it's called the bubonic plague. I just like picturing the plague doctors.
It's the Black Death or the bubonic plague.
Yeah, I just like saying the Black Death, the Black Plague. It's just the imagery in my head when I picture that time zone. And I like I said, I liked the plague doctors. I thought the mask was cool as shit. If I had one, I would be wearing it when I went out in public.
And the thing is, viruses tend to mutate. They tend to become kind of endemic. That's just in the nature of the beast.
And we don't necessarily have to use the, the Leeches. No offense to the Leeches. I do think that they're cool and stuff, but no thank you.
Hey, there are viable medical uses for leeches still.
I have heard that. I'm just grateful I don't need to.
Yeah, if you have kind of ragged necrotic tissue, slap some leeches on.
Yeah.
Just like there's medical uses for maggots. Same thing.
And I mean, I do know they get a lot out of the blood thinner, like the fact that they're still so potent as a blood thinner.
Yep.
No, it's the mouth and the way they bite you, and I know it's not supposed to hurt that bad, but I don't care.
But yeah, when we were talking about barbershops, there's also a different range of how much different barbershops do, because I've been to barbershops that do the full shampoo and wash with hot towel treatment after.
Oh yeah.
And I've been to barbershops where it's just that spritz bottle, a few combs, a brush, and scissors. And that's their equipment, with a couple clippers, of course. But it depends on what barbershop you go to, what it's like. And I've had really good cuts at both. There was one when I was living in the Richmond area. I think it's still there. So if you live in the Richmond, Virginia area, you can go to, I think it's the Refuge for Men. And it was effectively a man cave barbershop. So it had a projector that would just, you would get the control when you sat down in the chair, be able to put on whatever the hell you wanted during your haircut. And it would be playing on the wall in front of you. They had video games if you were waiting, shit like that. They did the hot towels, straight razor shaves, all that good shit. But yeah, I love barbershops. Much better than salons in my mind, but I'm a guy.
Well, you never really know what you're going to get with the salon. Like that is kind of a thing, because a salon could have somebody who's just fresh off the boat, and I don't mean that to be rude, but I've gone into places where like they just didn't know what they were doing, or like there's specific cuts that are you do need to know what you're doing. Like I remember back in the day, I really liked getting a razor cut layer. And the thing with the razor cut is it is a particular angle. Like you have to be very good at that angle. And there's other ways to do it. Like you can use the mechanical, or you can use a proper razor. The barbershop way is the best way to do it. Just because you get a particular angle, but it takes time to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going in and, like, you know, some girls knew how to do it with the mechanical, but if you don't do it right, the problem is you'll end up with split ends within a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and if you,
that's the only thing I knew of. That's what I was telling the lady at the shop. I was like, look, I haven't had a haircut since COVID. When COVID struck, I fucking shaved my head and just let it grow.
Yep.
And it got to this point, and I'm like, I just know two things. It's growing really bad around my ears, so you got to trim around the ears, and then and the back of the neck. You know, get the small hairs around the back of the neck, and then I don't know about split hairs. I heard that there's a thing, so if there's split hairs,
Mhm.
I think that's where she was like, no, that's
Yep.
your hair's layered. And I'm like, I didn't layer it. I just fucking grew it. I didn't fucking know.
You probably have natural layers. It's just guys have nice hair sometimes. Sometimes they don't, but when they do, they really do. And the girls are like, you don't know what you're doing with your hair. I don't either, because I'm not a hair professional.
I don't know what I'm doing with my hair. It's like having long hair.
That's
It
just-
feels nice when it's blowing in the wind.
That's just reminding me of a weird conversation that happened on one of the streams that I tend to watch while at work, or rather the VODs for streams that I tend to watch at work. They were talking about how guys tend to have nicer eyelashes. And it was just a, what the fuck? Where did this come from? But yeah, I've heard that claim elsewhere as well, where
Mhm.
women tend to be jealous of eyelashes that guys have because they don't do shit to get them. Whereas women will, like, yeah, I need this makeup and this mascara, and then I do this, and I get these fucking eyelash extensions. And
Yep, that's a thing. And they're uncomfortable too. They suck to wear. I don't think you would have half the amount of bitterness if they didn't feel like the poops to wear. But yeah, I don't have that problem. I just wear mascara on very special occasions, like if my mom's like, "Oh, I gotta go to the opera and I have an extra seat," and then I'll wear mascara because I figure I'm supposed to.
La-di-da, look who's all hotty-toddy going to the opera.
It doesn't happen very often, but my mom used to be part of this club, so she would get cheaper tickets, and she would go with a friend, and just every once in a while the friend wasn't available, so she's like, well, my daughter will go, and I'd be like, you have no one else, right? Oh, okay.
I'm just giving you shit.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, there's many things I've seen where I was just like, you know, I know Scribe covers the TED Talks, but
Mhm. But yeah, it's when I heard that in the one VOD that I was watching, like I said, it just reminded me of two of the compliments that I got completely out of the goddamn blue ages ago. They were both given by very large black women. And both of them were just like, I was doing something entirely different, and then very large black woman appeared in front of me, and it was like, you have really pretty eyes, or you have really nice eyelashes. And that shit just reminded me of that.
See, like when you hear that out of maybe say, well, I suppose it's said nicely, but I always think of like, is the next sentence going to be, I'm going to take them for you, or they would do well in my stew, you know, because I've seen these horror movies.
No, they said it in a very positive manner. It wasn't like they came up and went,
You have lovely eyes.
I hate to break it to you, to Sanguine, and I'm not meaning to throw the black ladies under the bus, but they do like their white men if they can catch one. I have heard from Tommy Sotomayor and a couple of the black dudes that I've watched on occasion whom I can't remember the names of, but yeah, they do like their white men if they can catch one, because they consider you nicer. Like they consider white men to be a little bit nicer, a little bit more willing to put up with their shit. That's coming from Tommy, by the way. That's not coming from me. He's a little. Anybody who's ever watched him knows he's a little bit harsher on the black women than I am being. But I've heard that they do like their white boys, and I think that's nice. Actually, I've never had a problem with that. I always kind of thought that was kind of nice that they do, because I think that a lot of people don't actually give men nice compliments like that.
Excuse me.
I just don't, because that would be socially awkward for me.
I can tell everyone listening and you guys beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you give a man a compliment and it is a genuine compliment, he will remember that for the rest of his fucking life.
Yeah.
It becomes this, I remember when I got that compliment. It
Oh,
made
that's
me
so
feel
cute.
nice.
Yay.
Yeah, I do try to think that way. Like, I do, like, it's just, you really kind of have to time it, because otherwise, especially up here, it gets kind of awkward.
Hey, Sanguine,
Mm-hmm.
why are you disclosing our secrets?
Uh-oh.
That's not really a secret.
I've been told that before.
We don't get complimented much. We remember when we get complimented.
Yeah, but now that they know this, could
We
you
might get
imagine?
complimented more.
No, that means that they're gonna fucking dangle that carrot a little bit further down the stick.
No, because the only way that they would be able to do that is withhold compliments even more. Which,
Yeah, with teasing us that they're gonna give us a compliment. Then all of a sudden, here we go.
Well, it's not about teasing. Like I said, it's about making sure it's the right one. Like, because a compliment should be genuine. You know, like it's easy enough to compliment you on a haircut, and I would do that just because that's an easy one. It's an easy way to compliment someone. But it's more of just like, okay, well, if I've gotten to know you a little bit and like, okay, well, I see that this thing is important to you. That's a better timing for me. That's more of like, okay, well, now I'm going to compliment you on something that I think you actually give a shit about. Doesn't mean I'm going to understand it, but I'll make note of it just so that I put effort into actually noticing something, you know?
see, the thing that I find hilarious about compliments is that there's the vast majority of time people do kind of go, I don't want to be awkward about it. And then there's just certain times when it does not matter what the fuck it is. It just becomes, yep, it's a free-for-all. Like, the average person might say, nice beard, to me, for instance, because I have a very large, prominent beard. It's like 1.5 feet long almost. So, nice long beard. And it's fluffy and soft. But conventions are when someone will say, that's a really nice beard. Can I touch it? And I'll just end up with people petting my face. And it's kind of a, okay. Yeah, it's really soft, isn't it? But it only happens in certain situations. Conventions always seem to be a bit of a madhouse free-for-all when it comes to shit like that.
Wait, at conventions?
Yes, conventions.
I probably would. Like, if I think you're doing stuff with your beard, I do tend to compliment dudes on their beards, just because I do know that actually does take some effort for some guys. You know, not necessarily the swirly beards. Like, some of that stuff is kind of weird.
I don't know.
What do you mean by swirly beards?
Oh
exactly?
God!
Come
God!
on. You've seen the dudes with like a mustache that kind of is like twirled at the end, or maybe a beard. What's his laws? Sumerian laws, Babylonian laws. His
you're thinking
Hammurabi.
Yeah, the
Yes.
codes of Hammurabi.
Yes, think of him and how his beards were depicted. With
are we talking like
it was
the beard championship? Weird.
I'm not
beards,
sure. I'm
or...
not sure if it was necessarily from those guys, because I know with those guys it's an art thing. Like with them, it's more of like I'm doing something artsy.
Beard championship shit.
But I don't think it was necessarily them. I can't remember the name of the group, but it's usually a slang word. But they tend to do trendy stuff. Not necessarily these guys. No, like this stuff is.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that crazy.
No, this stuff is fun.
That's like he's gonna be playing an organ soon.
Yeah, this stuff is fun. No, like this is more like the beard trenders.
Look at that guy with the top hat in the bottom right.
Top
You
hat,
see that?
bottom right. Let me quickly see. Oh yeah,
like-
the one with the. It's not quite a top hat. It's
Or a bull
this
hat.
one you're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
So that kind of like how he has it like fixed up.
Yeah, he has
Like
real.
he's obviously using some
wax.
wax, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's at least what I'm imagining you're saying, Jen, right? Something
A
like
little bit
fancy
closer to
plug-in.
that. A little
Yeah.
bit closer to that. I mean, he's still doing a little bit more, but like if you could imagine, like without the wax, with just his size beard, but like little swirls deliberately put in the middle, or like doing them. I've just seen some that just looked.
Some guys just have really curly hair.
Hey, and you
I
know
can
what?
respect that. I
hold
can
on,
respect
hold on.
that, but yeah.
I will say, I am I am an example of that. I'll take pictures and I'll post it in the Discord, but I have weird cowlicks on my jaws, and so I have like these swirls on my jaws. So I shave my beard to look like it looks like a weird like curl, but it grows like that. It's weird, but
Mhm.
it's
Or are
easier.
you talking like the braided beards?
It might be something like that. It's just one of those things where like I saw one once and it's just one of those things where yeah, it just wasn't the best look for him. Like it sometimes it just looks unhygienic.
Ew.
Like one of the last guys with the wax, I wouldn't like with him I have no problem with it because I know that's a wax that he probably cleans out afterwards.
Oh yeah, you have to.
But there's just some dudes that were doing like I said, the beard trenders, where you know that they were just dirty. There's a difference because you can tell at a kind of a glance when somebody's just like swirling their beard, and when somebody's using product to do it, or if they have a natural hair curl. Yeah. Like I said, it wasn't. I wish I could remember the term for those guys though, like fashion trenders, the goobers who will dress up in like 50 style clothing even though they don't know what it's about. Meh.
Is this a Canadian thing?
No.
Just posters. in
It's a
general.
Western thing. It's a Western thing. You probably find a lot of them in Portland.
Oh, hipster.
Hipsters, thank you. Thank you.
Oh my god, was that the word you were thinking of? Okay, I thought it was
Good
something
Lord,
completely
it was-
like.
Yeah, I
Ew.
thought it was something
Like
more
beard trenders.
specialized.
I
than
thought
that.
We
beard
broke out the
trenders would help me
beakers
get to
and Bunsen
hipsters, but
burners.
the beard hipsters, you know.
Yeah, I thought you were referring to something far more specialized than just
What
hipsters.
the hell? Hipsters. Okay, yeah, no,
Beard
yeah.
trenders. Like I said, beard trenders. Well, that's what a hipster is. Not necessarily a beard trender,
See,
but
like the only thing I have in my head is like a Vouch or something like that. Like it's you what? He's not a hipster. I don't know. But I
I
just
love
think
hipster places. I just get such like I love any like cocktail bars or anything like that that have a distinctively hipster vibe,
why?
especially if they have really like you read the menus and like not a word is like English on how they describe food or a drink or the ingredients in the drink, and you're like, oh, this is so pretentious. I love it. It's delicious.
See, this is just
I
reminding me.
get such a kick out of it.
This is just reminding me of the exact opposite of what you're describing, which was there was a restaurant that I went to when I was living in Richmond that would come up with descriptions for beers most of them made the beers sound really goddamn tasty. Some of them confused you when you read the description. Like, they had their wild ales listed on the menu. One of them I remember the description of vividly because it was funky barnyard wheat piss.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
That must have been a German beer. I don't know why, but I'm blaming it on that one.
I had that beer. I still don't know what they meant by funky barnyard wheat piss.
That's funny. Oh, that's amazing.
But yes, funky barnyard wheat piss. The exact opposite of having it sound just really high class. But you talking about the menus just made me think about that, where it's someone trying to get fairly evocative with the writing and just falling on their face.
I pulled up the menu of one of my favorite places, and I won't say the name because it's doxing and all that. But this is the name of one of I won't say the name either of the cocktail name is just flower. Okay, and this is the description of the cocktail: electric daisies dancing in the soft light. It's a tea gin cocktail.
Okay, I don't think that's so much hipster as someone took shrooms before writing the descriptions.
And then this other one is absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own, an iconoclastic homage.
Yeah, that's someone.
The description of another.
That's someone dosed with psilocybin that was then tasked with writing a menu.
My favorite cocktail, which is called Treebeard, which is fir gin with rye, birch sap, and smoked tea. It's actually absolutely delicious. It's one of the best drinks in the world. The shepherd of trees, tall, gentle, yet stiff-limbed. This is my favorite place. I love this. This is the best place. I love these kind of places. And the thing is that they also, the taste matches their pretentiousness. So you kind of do get rewarded for dealing with the schlock but isn't it great? I love it.
So what you're saying is that when I start back up doing cooking videos, I need to find someone that I can dose with psilocybin, give them my food, and have them write a description. And
yes,
you'll be sold.
100%.
I could taste the colors coming off of this dish.
Oh,
like
dear.
this. No, wait. This is even perfect. Shimmering light caught in time between blades of grass. I swear whoever wrote their menu was a failed English major. Probably was trying to become a poet or something. Nothing ever got published. They're like, I have to write the menu description. They have to publish me now. Because it is in print.
I stand by my assertion that this is just someone who took way too much drugs or just at the weirdest time, and then it was crunch time. They'd already taken their dose and they were told, you need to write the menu descriptions, and they went, oh shit, but I'm the color man. What do you mean you're the color man? When I step, the colors just flow out of my feet into the carpet. Are you okay? I can taste the wind. Have this cocktail. The shimmering light, it radiates through us all.
And you know what's so great about that, Sanguine? There's been posters around here all over the place about discussing about legalizing shrooms and psychedelic research and all that sort of stuff. So you know what? It's probably true.
Okay, listen, I was fine with the pot. Let's not expand.
You can taste
Oh,
the
shit,
vivid reds of this
bravo.
dish, the potatoes.
But listen to this pavlova. Tell me it doesn't taste delicious. And this is no fancy words for this. It's just the ingredients: roasted cherries, cherry jam, pistachio meringue, yuzu curd, and buttermilk ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Doesn't that sound delicious? It's about like there'll probably be about an inch and a half on the plate, but it'll be a very good mouthful.
I do absolutely love the taste of uzu.
Me too. It's a
Which reminds me, I need
not
to
my
get
favorite
more.
citrus, but it's up there.
I need to get more of my uzu sake because I ran out of it.
Yeah, I keep making jokes at Satsu that he needs to try a pomelo. And don't get me wrong, I know he's going to have a little bit of fun trying to find one because I don't know how that'd be in Cleveland, but, you know, an Asian store should have them. Because he was complaining about lemons and shit, and I was like, oh, no, man. No, it was grapefruits he was bitching about. And I was like, you think grapefruits
Why?
are bitter?
Oh, because they were bitter?
Because they're bitter? He thinks they're bitter? He thinks they're always bitter. I'm like, well,
No.
You just have shit luck.
Has he tried salting them?
wait, is grapefruit like one of those where people they taste it differently? Like, oh, it tastes like toothpaste. Wow.
So it's not to the same degree as cilantro, where you get the taste like burning soap, or it tastes like just delicious herbaceous heaven. But it ends up with
delicious.
Some people have a higher tolerance for bitter flavors than others. And a lot of people don't know the best way of handling bitter flavors. So you end up with two camps of people when it comes to eating grapefruits, typically. You end up with the sugar people, and you end up with the salt people. Where the sugar people say that in order to minimize the bitterness, what you do is you sprinkle sugar on it, which makes sense on the face of it, right? If you want to sweeten something, you add sugar. But it will sweeten it, but it will do nothing to change the bitterness of it. But if you have a higher tolerance for bitter, then that tends to work out fairly well for you. The one that confuses people, but is actually really goddamn sound, is you salt the bitter things. And the reason why is the combination of salt and bitter ends up having a competition effectively on your taste buds that results in a sweet signaling. So you get a little bit of the saltiness, you get a little bit of the bitter, but a lion's share of each gets transferred into sweetness. It's the reason why salted caramel, or caramel is a big thing, or salted caramel, whichever way you want to pronounce it, is a big thing, because you get bitter notes in dark caramel.
Yeah.
And when you salt that dark caramel, it comes out a hell of a lot sweeter.
Oh, shit. Salted caramel.
Yep.
Dude, yeah, that's what these little whiskey shooters that I got here.
Yep.
Salted caramel.
Yeah, and it's a
Good God,
classic
how are
way-
these all connected?
I love the chocolate covered caramels with roasted or like smoked sea salt on top.
Yep.
Oh my god, those are like the best chocolates, especially if it's like a dark chocolate.
Yep. And it's the same thing. The salt combines with the bitter flavors of the dark chocolate and that deep caramel. And it produces a sweetness on the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's called caramel.
Blunts that bitter.
Hey,
which is
oh, sorry.
which is where a lot of people have problems with, like, grapefruit. So if you think grapefruit is way too bitter, I recommend salting the grapefruit. Don't sugar your grapefruit.
I still want Satsu to try a pomelo just because they're very different. Different looking too. Because they're way more rind, for one.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, I think they're probably close in relation to an original lemon in the first place. Because I looked that up, and the original lemon, still called a citron,
Yep, the citron.
is all rind. It's like 80% rind.
Yep.
They used to eat it that way, and it's exactly like what you said. They used to cut it up for a salad, so they would thinly slice it, like they do with prosciutto, that
Yep.
kind of level of thinness, and then it's just salt and pepper,
Yep.
and they would just eat it as a salad like that. And I was like, that actually makes entire sense because you've got your own vinegar in there because there's still some lemon juice in there. There's going to be a little bit, which gives you that citrus that you want. You got the bitterness, you got your salt and your pepper. So yeah, I kind of really got into this whole ancient food kick, and I kind of want to nip Satsu's butt with that one because he is supposed to be doing that for his school, and I think he should really explore food more. I really think he should.
Another really interesting thing in that family is: are any of you familiar with the Buddha's hand?
I've heard of it, but I'm not picturing the fruit at the moment. Let me Google it.
Is here.
That's what they use at
show
the end of Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, I have.
This is a very different Buddha's hand, but yes, the move at the end of Kung Fu Hustle was in fact the Buddha palm.
Oh, Buddha palm, yeah.
But yes, the Buddha's hand is this thing. It looks like an eldritch nightmare.
Oh yeah, face hugger.
And
no, I've never seen it.
Technically a subcategorization of citron. It is the Buddha's hand, or sometimes known as the Buddha's hand citron. And
it kind of looks like the nose of a star-nosed mole.
Yeah. That's
and what you do is you can candy this just like you can candy any citrus peel.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you need to remember when you're candying citrus. You aren't candying the fruit of the citrus. You're candying the peel of the citrus. But you can candy the peel, of course, or zest from Buddha's hand is often used. And to show you guys how much of this thing is just
rind,
completely inedible pith. Let me pull up this image of the Buddha's palm sliced in half. Like I said, unless you candy it. If you candy it, then it's no longer virtually inedible. But if you don't candy it, then it tastes like goddamn ass.
I've watched a couple of videos with guys candying peel, and it's a huge process. Like, you're not boiling once, you're boiling like several times.
Yeah, you boil it about 3 times.
Yeah.
So
it's like it's literally all rind.
Yeah. It is all pith.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, you know, I could actually see that because I mean, there's some fruit cakes where like, you're using a lot of rind. I could see supplementing it with this if it's the similar flavor.
Yeah, it's a citrusy flavor to the zest. And when you candy the rind, then you end up with that flavor throughout, that kind of nice, delicately lemony. But you have to boil it like 3 times because you do an initial boil.
Yep.
To get most of the bitterness out.
Yep.
Then you completely dump out all the water. Everything from it, with the exception of your rind. Then you do a secondary boil, still in just plain water. And you boil it for longer the second time. And then you dump it all out again. And then the third time is when you actually do your flavored boil.
Yeah.
Good God. How long is the process total?
a long.
like an hour.
But then you make a lot of it, and it can be preserved for a very long time.
Well, yeah, it makes a gummy out of it effectively. Like I would say it's almost one of the first gummies.
I
Really?
absolutely hate candied rind, like candied fruits. Oh God, every fucking thing in Romanian cooking has them. Everything.
I
Hate
like
it.
stolen bread. Sorry, I like stolen bread. I'm not gonna.
I like it as long as it only contains raisins or currants. That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
No
the last
peel.
one I had orange peel, and honestly, I used it to make French toast, and it was amazing.
Wait, you can make candy French toast?
I
Or
made
no, I'm catching it different.
No, you are. It's stolen is kind of like a fruitcake almost. It's different, but it's
And it's only good if there's marzipan in the center.
yes, yeah. Mine had marzipan in the center, but it's a sweet dough, and they usually have dried fruit. So you can get raisins and currants, and mine had candied oranges. I do know that you can get other things in it, but I didn't want to expand on the peeled fruits just because I figured orange was safe enough. And then this one had it's usually coated with a powdered sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's meant to last. So if it's a little bit dry, that's fine. It's supposed to do that. I just really liked it for French toast because French toast kind of wants to have dry bread. And this
so it
one
soaks up the mix.
And it was really nice because it was a thick dough anyway, so it just soaked it up just enough without getting soggy at all. It was great. I told Sam L about it because he's Mr. Our French guy, and I like to horrify him with stuff.
So wait,
He's our resident frog.
Yeah.
So we do have connections in Europe.
Well, it's just you got to understand. I sent that beef Wellington video to all my European friends. So, it was
But
great.
yeah, I recommend if you want to try something like a candied peel, probably the easiest to approach candied thing are candied kumquats.
Kumquats.
Yep.
I
Candied
love
kumquat
that word. It's
is
so cute.
absolutely delicious. And it lasts for fucking ages. I have a thing of candied kumquat behind me, and I just took several pieces of it out of there.
I've never
pop
seen
them in
one
my
in
mouth.
real life, and I've very recently only ever had a persimmon. It's
They're not-
another thing that's hard to find.
Kumquats the kumquats that I used for my candied kumquats are about the size of a grape.
Mhm.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, they're bright orange and then they're green in the middle.
Yep. So you take those, you split it into fours, so into quarters. Then you boil, and these don't take long to candy. You boil in water for a little bit, you dump out all that water, you put new water into the pan in a 1-to-1 mix of sugar and water. The second time I didn't use water, I used wine. And then toss the kumquats in, let that reduce down until it is just absolutely coating the segments of kumquat. And the bit of candied kumquat that I just snacked on, I've had for a year and a half, and it's still just like new.
Yeah, I always liked how they looked because they look like an orange that just kind of went splurg.
Yeah, here, let me, since I've been pulling up images of the other.
Honestly, what you just described, I just like in my head, I'm seeing those candy orange slices that are coated in sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mhm.
so I'm just like I'm seeing like you just made those, but with it's green on the inside and orange on
Well,
the outside.
It can be a little bit green. It isn't always green. Some of them end up fairly orange, especially when you get them at peak
Well, hey,
ripeness.
hey, it's all the kids love the crazy colors, so that's
But yeah.
how
Oh,
we sell
it's
it.
so cute.
Like I said, those are,
Grape oranges.
yeah, they're about the size of grapes, maybe a little
Ugh.
bit bigger. And you just split them into quarters or eighths. You can make jams out of
Can
them.
you just eat them like that?
They are extremely bitter, fresh, which is why they tend to be candied or jammed or
What?
turned into
Hold on.
gummies.
Hold on. So, okay. Did I tell you guys, or at least, damn it. See, this is the thing. Especially since we're live, so it's even extra tricky. But did I mention the story about a co-worker discovering an apple tree?
I don't believe you've mentioned that to me.
Okay.
I don't recall. No, I'm sorry, Adam.
Well, let me give you the the best of my ability. I'll give you the cliff notes of it. But I have a coworker who goes jogging on his lunch break, and as he put it, he ran across a apple tree, and he would gather apples, and he would do this he's been doing it for like a year or two. Till eventually, the place is like, hey, you got to get out of here because we're gonna, turn it into a parking lot for this. It's an like a business industrial complex, so area. So it's not like, like it's just gonna be rows of streets and office buildings and parking lots and all that shit. So this tree is eventually gonna be torn down, and so. He was telling me because I told him, like, yeah, in the morning, I bring an apple for breakfast, an apple or a banana, and so that's when he was telling me, it's like, oh yeah, I go jog and I run across this apple tree. I'll bring you some apples, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, you get some apples. And he comes back and he's like, hey, check this out, I got this bag for you. And he gets in his bag, and it's a bunch of little crab apples. And I'm sitting there looking at, I'm like, dude, when I was growing up, the crab apples were you were like, you don't want to eat those, like, But then, hold on. He, this dude, I believe, either from, I believe he's from Thailand or the Philippines. But he goes and he's telling me, he's like, yeah, dude, what we do is, we chop them up, and then we serve them with with this chili spice, and I think there was another like dipping sauce, but they eat them like nachos, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, that's cool as shit, So I ate them, pretty good, they were bitter, but they were good, and it was just like, damn. This whole time, I was always told you don't want to eat that stuff. That's just, overgrowth from shrubberies or whatever. But, they made this actually, you can do a dish. I want to try the salsa, and it is good. It's nice, sweet and spicy type of dish. So.
Yeah, you tend to jam crab apples a lot. And there's a number of other presentations that you can do with crab apples, but crab apple jam is fairly common.
I think he said he pickled them, but
yep,
I think
pickled is also
yeah. But that's fucking cool, dude. I mean, he still has yet to bring me, because he said he had pickled either that or something else, that because he said his wife was pickling stuff that they had in their garden, and he's like, yeah, I'll bring them in, you can try it. And I'm like, all right, man, yeah. So I'm still waiting for that. I'm always down to try it, as long as it's not an onion. And I even told him that. Like, hey, man.
I still say, give me a chance. I'll be able to make jammy onions that you might actually like.
Yeah, no, that's never gonna happen. Because he was trying to sell me on Thai food. He's like, yeah, you try Thai food, you come over and we eat this. I'm like, hey, dude, I'll try anything as long as there's no onion.
Well, if it's Thai food or if it's Filipino food, at some point you're gonna have some of that fruit from the coconut tree.
Oh God, no!
The coconut
Oh
nut
God,
is
no!
not a nut.
I had to.
Yes, for everyone that's outside of our foursome here, before stream, I ended up playing a song, the Coconut Nut song, for JenTMaxi and Adam here, because neither of them had ever heard it. If you also haven't heard of the Coconut Nut song, it is a ridiculous earworm, and I recommend it. It's by Smoky Mountain. But yes, the Coconut Nut song. Because it's the cocoa fruit. It's the cocoa fruit
And
of the cocoa tree.
and if you eat too much, you'll get fat.
Yep. The coconut nut is not a nut. If you eat too much, you get very fat.
Hold
It's
on.
a fun song.
Is there coconut in Thai food?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They do a lot of coconut.
I
Yeah.
think
Using
I've
a
only
lot of
tried Thai food
coconut
once.
milk specifically too in soups and stuff. Like that's very good.
And Thai curries tend to have coconut milk mixed in.
Yeah, I
Damn.
really like
Damn,
I
it all
really like
came around. Holy shit!
I really
Damn it.
like the coconut rice too, actually.
Oh my
Like,
god,
really-
so
really-
tasty.
Yeah, really good
So
coconut
tasty.
rice. Ooh.
Yeah, because that's what he was saying. He was like, the lunch special is like a soup and then like a noodle and then something or else. Like, I can't remember what else. But I'm sitting there like, oh man, I think I had Thai food once. I tried it once when I was living in Washington. And that's all, I don't recall anything, but fucking coconut. Damn it.
Mhm.
You tied it right back together with the fucking song.
Yep.
That's why I went to the Philippines, because it was either the Philippines or Thai. Not to say that they're the only Asians who do that, because they're not, but they're the ones I'm most familiar with. So
Yeah, and a lot of other areas will top up curry with like toasted coconut.
it's
which
good.
is really goddamn tasty.
Mhm.
Adds a nice bit of crunch and some sweetness.
Yeah, I remember last year discovering coconut curry. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, coconut curry.
But yeah, coconut sweet rice. That's good shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like learning about contrasting foods. It's my discovery of the world, and anyone who's like, oh, that's appropriating culture. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'm eating food.
And
It's food.
I just noticed the time. Shall we go around the horn?
Oh yes.
Sure.
So, Jen, you want to start?
Yeah, like I said, don't deny people food, because I think it's the path to world peace. I actually do think that peace kind of starts at the dinner table. But everyone take it easy. Try to stay cool, because I know the weather's kind of up and down. And yeah.
Adam?
Well, thank you as always for letting me jump on the show. And I always like hanging out with the minions.
Always fun having you.
Glad I have a spot to chat with. Honestly, Sanguine, you said you're hosting Fridays, right?
Yep.
Well, I think I have something to look forward to. Because I'm gonna be bugging you for the most part to be chatting on you with you on Friday. So
Copy
Yeah.
that. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I hope you look forward to that. But it was lovely chatting with you two ladies from the north. And for the rest of you, as always, I love y'all and God bless.
Sora?
After that lovely sentiment, I do agree. It's always wonderful talking, especially on a Friday, which is a nice way to end the week. But I have a little tip for anyone who is suffering right now in forest fire areas or just really like heat wavy bits. Start doing the old-fashioned thing of carrying a handkerchief with you, maybe a little Ziploc bag, I find having the ability to dampen something like that, like a nice cotton handkerchief, and just putting it on the back of your neck, or be able to wipe your face in like the middle of the afternoon or something is really, really helpful. So yeah, that's just my little tip that I've been doing lately.
And I'll leave off with my standard of, if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And with that, have a good night all. The zoo is closed.
Night.
Have a good night, guys.